So strategies to correct the alignment and how do I plan my HTO. And today, if we have to take away one message out of this hall, this is an a la carte approach. There is no two same patient. Every patient has a different anatomy. The most important thing is the osteotomy, that's alignment. And unless you have a normal alignment, you cannot get a complete stability leading to real meniscus stability and cartilage repair. So this is the most important slide of the day, that you have to have an a la carte approach for knee preservation. So planning constitutes, you have to see whether it's a primary varus, double varus, then you have to see whether it's a primary tibia only or opening. Then one has to understand the mechanical alignment. What kind of mechanical alignment is required for this? So the mechanical alignment, you have to learn to draw the Mikulicz line. It's a very simple paperwork. You don't need a fancy Bone Ninja or Bone Master kind of software. Even you can do it in your clinic. What you need is first you draw a mechanical alignment. They have to go through the center of the knee joint, or either a medial tibial spine or between the medial and lateral tibial spine in between. Remember that not that only you have a coronal alignment. There could be a small sagittal alignment also, and that leading to something known as tibia bone varus angle. So this is the one which needs a correction, tibia bone varus angle. This correction up to 5 degrees will lead to a correction of mechanical axis of the knee joint. The mean axis deviation on both sides is very important. Up to 14 mm on lateral side, you will still consider it to be a varus. If it goes on the valgus side, up to 10 mm, still consider not valgus, but beyond 10 mm will be a valgus. Here, one has to have a mechanical LDFA and the MPTA to be calculated so as to label this these structures as varus. So what exactly is planning? Planning is one alignment, where you have to see the alignment. You have to draw the mechanical tibiofemoral angle, that is one. Then mechanical proximal lateral femoral angle, the mechanical lateral distal femoral angle, mechanical proximal tibial angle, and mechanical lateral tibial angle, MLDTA, and JLCA, there is a joint line congruence angle. So all this nomenclature is very important to understand when you are attending any osteotomy course, meeting, or a conference, where you have to see the alignment with respect to each and every angle. There are certain values which needs to be remembered. Remember, the MPTA and LDFA is almost same, 87 to 88 degree plus or minus 2. LDFA could increase between 81 to plus or minus 2. But JLCA, that defines the congruency of your joint. Remember, your joint is not parallel to the ground. They are at an angle. The lateral laxity will be denominated with JLCA. So any JLCA more than 2 degree has to be compensated in your correction whenever you are planning to correct. Second most important message here is always remember the distal femoral osteotomy could contribute to the knee varus. So you have to assess your varus deformity in great detail so that you don't require HTO, but sometimes you require LDFA, DFO, like what we are seeing live. So remember, the varus may not come only from tibia, it could come from your femur as well. So you have to have a complete assessment of the patient before you plan. Then coming, how much correction? How much correction is dilemma. Again, Fujisawa, it's a very old article by Fujisawa, but still some people like joint replacement people, the trauma surgeon and arthroscopy surgeon, we believe, the trauma surgeons believe that Fujisawa point correction is the best correction because you have to give some amount of valgus. Whereas arthroscopy surgeons believe that the correction to Fujisawa will lead to change in biomechanics of the knee joint, leading to early arthritis of the patellofemoral joint or the other tissues. So there is a debate between how much correction, but still majority people still are convinced that Fujisawa point correction is a excess valgus correction, and you should be less than 30% width, maybe half or 25% width of the lateral condyle, or between at the level of the lateral tibial plateau or lateral tibial medial eminence. So how do you plan it? The planning is always with full length X-ray. Either you can do Miniachi method or Dugdale method. One has to have a scanogram, that is orthoangiogram. The intra-planning could be a cable method, like what we used to do, like a cautery technique, but most importantly, mathematical. As you have done the pre-op planning, you can calculate same in your post-op intra-op planning with the help of a ruler. And a computer navigation is nowadays a tool, AI. I'm very sure another 5 years down the line, all HTOs will be AI dependent HTO. And full leg X-ray, post-operatively, you can check it weight-bearing X-rays. The pre-operative planning is an individual approach. This wonderful article by Andreas Imhoff suggests that how much correction. If there is no joint space narrowing, you have to keep the joint axis at the 50% of your width, tibial width. If it is osteoarthritis, early arthritis, maybe 60%. If it is a more moderate arthritis, then you can go up to 70%. So let's understand planning in great detail. The preoperative planning starts with the miniature method. This is a simple Mikulicz line. You have to draw a Mikulicz line, and then you have to draw the weight-bearing axis of the knee joint. So center of the hip to the center of the ankle is the one line, red line. Then we have a blue line which is going through the weight-bearing axis, a proposed correction of the high table osteotomy. And then you can plan the hinge usually on the lateral side, at the level of the fibula head, the hinge point, then draw a line from hinge point to the center of the ankle, and between the angle, whatever angle is corrected, it need to be corrected as an alpha angle at the level of proximal tibia. So in short, this is a planning which we can do for preoperative planning with the. There are another method like Dugdale method which can be used in clinical practice, but this is a very raw method where you have to do a correction weight-bearing axis, and then you have to do a tibiofemoral axis, anatomical axis of tibia. The center of the anatomical axis of tibia and the femur, the angle correction is a total correction required. Out of two, the miniature method stands very high and better accurate method as it depicts the amount of correction required at the knee joint. So preoperative standing scanogram is very important because supine scanogram difference between two is almost 3 to 4 degrees. So never rely on any supine scanogram. As far as AI is concerned, there are specific tools available. The patient-specific implants are available. We have no great experience. Only 2 cases I have done with PSI, and they work wonderful, and you can plan it. Intraoperatively, you can use simple rod so that you can see the alignment, whether it is sitting at the medial tibial spine or lateral tibial spine, and you can check your alignment in that axis. And post-operatively, the evaluation constitutes the weight-bearing axis, the MPTA, hip-knee angle, and everything you can get it in one line. So this is how one can plan the, in short, last video, I think. So this is how you can, in short, you can plan your weight. This is the Bone Ninja software. You can use it. It's commercially available for iPhone and iPad. And MPTA, LDFA, then align it. Try to get your angle of correction and try to correct that angle at the proximal tibia with the help of medial open wedge osteotomy. So in short, that's a high table osteotomy planning. Thank you.